All right, solo show today. Jesse Boy's out of commission. He did I was just telling Rebecca, he did 16 hours and 48 minutes straight yesterday of ripping Topps Chrome Disney. So he is incapacitated and or dead this morning, so he'll be off for today. So just kind of a solo show. We do have Aram Leighton joining us here in a little bit. We're going to finally, I should have had him on last week and totally forgot to. He's going to break down, it's really three main areas for me with him. I want him to break down Bowman Chrome. I'm curious if he's as high on the prospects as the hobby is and as I am. I'll talk about Bowman Chrome a little bit more before he gets on here. But I am curious as to what he thinks about that product and some of the actual names. Maybe he can connect for us some of like their on-field expectations as opposed to what they're selling for now, and maybe some diamonds in the rough. He's usually pretty good with that, so I'm interested in that. I do want to know too with like next year's draft. I think the draft already happened. Actually, I know it already happened. I've not paid any attention. I do no prep work on MLB Draft until November, when we're starting to prep for the actual product to come out, even though the draft happens during the summer. I do kind of same thing, like a look ahead of, hey, who's on the horizon for this next year's draft class? Who should we be looking for? Any unexpected, guys you think may have a really high ceiling that are going under the radar? So you can break down the prospects for those two. And then, too, I started thinking, I actually talked about this last night, too. We've had kind of a wild ride with the rookie class in the MLB the last couple of years. So, like, 2022 comes out, and it's unbelievable. J-Rod sets the world on fire. Wander, turns out to be a pervert. However, at the time, unbelievable prospect. Everybody was super hyped on the guy. Very quickly, Bobby Witt, Spencer Torkelson, O'Neal Cruz had a high ceiling at the time, Spencer Strider. All these super talented guys came in with a ton of hobby hype. So it's like 2022 was awesome. Even into 2023, it was pretty good, although in 2023, I know he's like a superstar now, but like 2023, Torque got sent back down. Bobby Witt was not playing great. End of the year, that's when Wander got in trouble, I believe. But for the majority of the year, you still had Wander, you still had J-Rod, who was crushing it. 2023 rookie class, kind of the same. You start off with Corbin, Adley, Gunnar, all these good, super talented guys. And it's a good class. It's not like unbelievable. And I feel like after that, like again, 1 year in, they kind of all faded to a degree. Still good on the field. Like Corbin Carroll's still playing excellent. Gunner's still an excellent player, but way underperformed after that rookie season. And then 2024 happens, which, again, just an unbelievably stupid, talented, loaded hobby class. On the field as well, but in the hobby. You've got Skenes, the three Jacksons. You've got Caminero now, a year later, hitting 50 bombs. You've got guys like Mason Wynn under the radar, Wyatt Langford, just a ton of talent. Unbelievably talented class. Yamamoto, Shota still selling through the roof. And so we started talking about this on one of the lives the other day. What about next year? Because 2025 class, as unbelievable. So we had some consistency. I feel like 22 and 23, consistent. 24, out of this world. 25 has been really kind of a miss. It's going to heat up at the end of the year because you're going to have Kurtz and maybe Roman Anthony, although I don't know if Anthony's going to have rookie stuff at all. But Kurtz for sure, he already has, and he will continue to. My only complaint there is we're only going to have him for half a season, which I hate. I wish they would have just held him to next year, I mean. But I don't think you really could have. But other than that, like James Wood, excellent player, super low ceiling. Nobody cares about the guy anymore. He strikes out a ton. All of a sudden, that's become the story, as opposed to like, hey, he's in his early 20s and crushing the ball. Dylan Cruz, same thing, up and downs in Washington. I just feel like overall this year, it's been a super quiet year. Sasaki has been selling through the roof, but if he doesn't perform for the Dodgers, there's not going to be any staying power there. Jacob Wilson comes out hot, but then really struggles. Cam Smith having a very good year for Houston, but again, I feel like he's an example of somebody playing way better on the field than they're actually selling for. Roman Anthony, like I said, we kind of just missed in general. And then Kurtz has been the guy, obviously. But overall, a very underwhelming class. I am kind of curious, and I think Aram can kind of fill in some of the gaps there too. Who's coming up next year? Like, who is expected to be either early promotions, roster day one, amazing. But other than that, like, who's going to get the call up in like for the May call up or whatever? I am kind of curious there, so I want to get his perspective on those things. And then just a quick, I don't know, sentimental's not the right word, but I guess like a quick like PC moment. Every now and again I have to reflect on these things because we have these times in the hobby, especially me as a breaker, and we're doing content all the time, and we're putting out a YouTube show every day. We're doing all this extra stuff now, and it's great. But at the end of the day, like this thing started as a hobby, and you do, especially me, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, Burnout in the hobby is a real thing. We have talked about this before. We just came off of 2 days of just ripping like absolute maniacs with Bowman Chrome. Before that, we were traveling up at the Philly show, doing these single shows on eBay, which we're going to keep doing. Sunday night's our big single show, and then Richmond, Monday night with the DC Sports 87, we're going to do a massive show, our biggest live show ever. You spend all this time prepping to buy those. You're spending all this time prepping to buy the cases you need. You're working on checklists and PYT pricing and all this other stuff. And I woke up, the last 2 or 3 days, I have woken up and thought to myself, if cardboard didn't exist, I would be the happiest person in the world. I would also be poor. That would be the end of my financial stability. But it is true. I got up and I was like, man, there are times like this when I really sit there and think to myself, this is why I still nerd out on stuff like making sets that mean nothing to nobody. But to me, it's like the end. Like, I spent probably 30 minutes after the break last night scouring eBay and random Facebook pages trying to find the last card I need for my 2001 Sign of the Times set. Then I was scouring these random stupid Facebook groups trying to find the Terrell Davis I need for my 24 Topps Chrome Refractor set, or the National Treasures Mark Burley auto. It is kind of a weird thing. Occasionally, I think it's important to just step back, like, you know what? Especially guys who are, because I feel like the majority of our listeners are doing a little bit of both. Everybody PCs something, but everybody's also in the flip game or breaking or trying to make a buck in the hobby, mostly to sustain the hobby, which I think is great. But I kind of, that was kind of my reflecting thought today was like, man, if you don't have that stuff to kind of ground you, it does totally become a business, and you quickly lose sight of having any joy from it. Whereas if you have the other stupid stuff, like today is one of those days. I was talking to my brother earlier, and I'm gonna call Russ when I do this. I'm gonna dig out one of these stupid 3-row boxes that are 3,000 top-loaded Griffey cards, and none of them are worth more than $4. And I'm gonna call him. We're gonna go over in like these stupid mental notes. Hey, you remember this '97 Pacific Aurora Griffey? This is the first card that I ever had that was numbered to 10,000. It was unbelievable. I always come back to that. And the reason this even crossed my mind, aside from just being, hey, there's been some burnout lately. I think people, you have your ups and downs with the hobby. The other reason this came to mind is there's always so much doom, especially lately. I feel like everything's doom and gloom. Everything's slow. Breaks are slow to fill. New products stinks. Card shows aren't what they used to be. 99% of which is just an overreaction or just dummies with microphones, trying to talk up the doom and gloom Armageddon scenario. But I do, like when I think of that, that's the nice thing. It's like, oh, okay, everything's going to zero. Cool. That box of Griffey's is already worth nothing. It's worth $13. Was it going to go down to $8? It doesn't matter. So those are kind of like my little grounding thoughts when I get in these little funks, I guess is the word for it, of like, man, I have no joy in breaking, no joy in single selling right now. Even like guys messaging me about lots. Hey, are you looking to buy this and that? That has always been my favorite aspect of the hobby. Like nothing, I derive no more joy from anything other than when someone says, hey, here's a couple of 3-row boxes. Buy it, and I'm buying it to flip it, but there's 7 cards out of 100 that I want to keep. And then 100% the mental challenge becomes, how do I sell the 93 cards for a profit? Great. But how do I just sell them so I can keep the 7 cards I want? At the end of the day, that's why I always push back when I hear these doom and gloom, nightmare, midnight scenarios of like, hey, the bubble's gonna burst and all this stuff. I just feel like at the end of the day, the nostalgia cannot be. That is one of those things that you just can't, like, there's no price tag on that. There's no bubble on nostalgia. Yeah. So anyways, super random, sentimental thought. I did just I woke up today. That was one of those days. And I was just like, okay, what are we doing? I don't want to break Bowman Chrome, even though it's 2 days old and it's a good product. I don't care about the NBA right now, even though I should because we're ramping up for the season. Even the NFL this year, it is amazing. I'm glad baseball's around. Like, I've actually been super into the Red Sox, and that's great, like the love of the sport. But there is no connection with any of these sports anymore for me in collecting. Like, I've actually gotten back into the Red Sox a little bit this year. I was amped up before the season for the Pats, but I think they're going to be terrible. I don't think they're winning more than 6 games. And again, no connection. Even if they were great this year, there's not a single player where I think to myself, hey, this guy on the Pats I got to go out and buy, or this person for the Red Sox. There's none. And even with the Celtics, none. No one on the Celtics anymore either. And so it's like moments like that where I'm like, yeah, but man, remember the good old days with Manny and Pedro? Like that is like kind of to me, kind of like the saving grace of the hobby. And I apologize, there's a lot of words. I'm not really saying anything, I guess. Maybe we should have had Jesse here. What a random thought, a terrible thought that is. By the way, he was dressed like Buzz Lightyear for 14 hours yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, and he pulled the Walt Disney Super, we do have to give a shout out to the big guy. That's like one of the product chases yesterday. Dressed as Buzz Lightyear, he then pulls like one of the biggest cards in the product. So I'm sure you're going to see his big, goofy face everywhere. Neither here nor there. But I do. That was like my whole takeaway from today was, hey, I want to break down some prospects and some future stuff, the draft and all this other stuff. But man, strip it all down, take it all away. I'm literally would just be happy ripping through some cards and just having fun with it. I think that is the saving grace for the hobby. That's really the point of it. Take away all the money, the flipping, the buying, the selling, the content you like, content you hate, all the other crap. At the end of the day, I don't think you can put a price on the nostalgia aspect of it. So that may have been somewhat coherent. It may not have been. I don't really care. Aram is here, so we're going to let Aram in. We didn't introduce you. I teased it earlier. Aram Leighton, Just Baseball, friend of the podcast. I feel like we've known Aram for, it's been probably 2 or 3 years now at this point, I guess.
Yeah, literally years.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Hey, I did want to just we're doing kind of a short show. The big fella's under the weather because he was breaking Disney Chrome cards for 16 and a half hours yesterday. Dressed like Buzz Lightyear and then dressed as, who the heck? Oh, and then Winnie the Pooh. He's a costume man these days. It's tough. I had 3 things I want to jump in and just kind of get your perspective on.
Yeah.
Kind of some Bowman Chrome talk that just came out this week. Guys you like, hate, whatever. Bowman Draft. I feel like we never talk about the actual draft. We wait until December when there's cards coming out. But it's like these kids have been drafted 6 months ago.
And 2024 Bowman Draft is, I mean, you can open a box right now, and it's one of the few times in a while where, like, you're gonna get a good ROI. Like, you're not gonna get fully skunked because Connor Griffin base cards are gonna kill, Nick Kurtz base cards are gonna kill, and then even it's just that's the part that makes it more fun to me. I wish there was more product like that. The 2024 draft is like slept on still, I think.
Yeah, I think Kurtz just took everything. It's like after that, people just totally forgot. But it's like even if you took Kurtz away, that's probably still an above average class.
Connor Griffin, Carson Bench. I mean, even just like the later picks, like you have a bunch of, like, even the pitchers, Peyton Tolley with the Red Sox, those cards are spiking. Yeah, like,
man,
you get a lot of depth to that product, and I think that's the new norm with the draft. It's less rounds, and teams are spreading the wealth.
Nice. And then I actually just want to get your perspective too. Next year, we've kind of been talking about 2024, the greatest rookie class we've ever seen for the hobby, like Skenes, all the Jacksons rather, Yamamoto, just all these guys, PCA, Caminero. Hitting friggin' 50 bombs is wild. 2025, though, has been equally as much of a letdown. And so I'm curious who's coming up in 2026. Like, who you think makes the jump. You know, kind of some guys we should start prepping on. So, Bowman Chrome, have you ripped any, seen any?
Yeah, we did a little half case break for our Discord. It was nice. Fun. We got, we hit like the Coby Mayo garbage pail.
Did you really?
Those are cool cards.
Yep.
I liked it. I thought it was a fun rip. I enjoyed it.
So I've got a couple names I'm curious about. Like, there's a few of the big guys. Shotaro, Marai, whatever.
Yeah.
The 2-way player for Oakland. He seems to have the most buzz, selling the most. What's your any thoughts or insights on him?
Yeah, I think you get to just the classic like 2-way dream there, where like people are always so excited about, you know, what could be, you know, and I think that's where people are always like getting so pumped up of, whoa, he could do both. And a big priority for him when he was signing was, I want to go somewhere where I can do both. So he hasn't done both yet. I think they wanted to ease him into it. But the fact that he has a chance to do both, I think is why it's such a big draw. But he had a really nice offensive season at the complex. So I think it makes sense that people are like excited and intrigued by him.
Nice. A couple of the other, I got to actually look at my list here. Josue Gonzalez, the kid for the Giants, another dude who came out super expensive. I had not heard anything about this kid until he came out in Bowman Chrome.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think people aren't paying as much attention to those lower levels, those rookie levels at the beginning, and then you get the Bowman Chrome product, and then you start doing the dive, and it's like, holy crap, this guy has great numbers. I think it makes sense. Like, you have to acknowledge that Bowman Chrome, like, guys are far off. It's going to be difficult.
Sure.
But for the most part, like, when you compare him to his peers, like, he's just far ahead of them. Like, it's switch hitting. Going to stick at shortstop. I think that's a really important part when you're talking about collecting players, right? You want a guy that's going to like actually stick at short. Switch hitter, good approach, above average power. Like it's really 5-tool potential here. And I think he's refreshing for me because I think some of the other Bowman Chrome prospects that are really good, it's huge power, some whiff, super far away. I like the balance of tools across the board and relatively quote unquote high floor. So I feel like that's a guy that, fits the bill of the top or one of the top chases.
Okay, nice. Decent. Two other names I want to throw at you. Cris Rodriguez for the Tigers, and then Elia Pena for the Mets. Pena, I don't know if he's selling as well as the other guys yet, but man, he seems to have just about as much buzz as anybody but the kid in Oakland.
Yeah, Cris Rodriguez is like the other side of it, right? Where I get the chase, and he could be the best player in the product, but he also could struggle to hit a double-A. He's 17 years old. He looks like a man among boys. Like,
he's only 17.
17. He's a monster.
Dude, that guy at his card looks like a power forward. That's stupid.
He's built like one.
He's been shaving for 10 years.
And he's built like one, but
Dang.
He's hitting balls 113, 114 miles per hour. Like, you don't see that. But he also swinging and missing and chasing a little bit. So you just don't know how that's going to translate. And so I get at the end of the day, it's an upside hobby, and people want the power. And if you're looking for power, look no further. That's probably the best power that you're going to get in the product. But it's also, I think, some volatility there. So I skew towards the Josuars, where he could still be really, really good, and you have the tools across the board. But I could miss out on 40 homers. So I think that's ultimately what you have to dream on. But so many things have to go right, and that's why I get why he's a chase. But it's also why I personally don't prioritize those types. If I pull a couple, sure, I'll hold on to it and see what happens. If it's a low numbered one, maybe I'll cash in. But that he's the epitome of like the hobby does not care about risk, and that's fine because you see clips of this guy swinging the bat. Holy crap! Like you don't see teenagers with that kind of power.
Yeah, the only thing I've heard like in his defense is guys like, but he's for Detroit. Like Detroit's draft, it feels like every single one of their draft picks the last 3 years, even longer, is either playing for them, progressing through the minor leagues. Like so I do feel like there's some confidence because of the system. But I'm with you. Like it's already the odds are against you. Kid's 17 years old. I'm like, I'd rather just sell him high right now. Because even if he plays great, what are we talking? 3 years till he's in the bigs?
At least, especially for a player of his archetype, because those guys are going to be a little bit more station to station. Scott Harris, you know how well the Tigers do with their development and with their scouting. Scott Harris doesn't like that type of player. Think about a lot of their other top prospects. They're mostly hit over power, with power that continues to develop. I think, McGonigal, you've seen that power develop. Max Clark has started to tap into more power, but he likes the hit first guys. You get a chance to sign a Cris Rodriguez, you're not going to pass on that. But I do think that that's a player that generally the Tigers don't have as much proven success developing. So I not to say they can't, but that's just not really Scott Harris's MO. So that all those reasons, I get the gamble, but it's a gamble.
Okay. Last big name, then I just want to see if there's anybody you're kind of like off the radar. Elia Pena, the Mets kid. I know he's a little bit, he's still super young too, though. He's like 18 or 19.
18.
Yeah.
So Pena is fun because he was one of the more high prized, international free agents. I think he's that most expensive international free agent signing in
$5 million. Not bad.
That's franchise. He started his career with the Mets professionally in the DSL 0 for 29.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Then after that point, like when he got his first hit, from that point forward, hit 342 with an 1,081 OPS, 9 homers in 46 games.
Jeez.
His swing is so advanced for his age. I don't know what happened in those first handful of games, but good. Some of these guys, like, they never face adversity until like AA, AAA, and then it slaps them in the face and they stall out. So I think it was probably a good thing to have that. He had, I think, multiple 3-homer games. Like, this is a very unique talent here. And you have the Mets, who have done such a good job, I think, of really improving this farm system quickly. That's been a priority. David Stearns, when they poached him from the Brewers, that's where Uncle Stevie Cohen was like, blank check, Stearns, come here. I'm going to give you everything you want to build this farm system infrastructure. And they've done a great job with the Brewers with the international free agent side, and I know that's been a priority for the Mets to now do that too, and this was kind of like their banner signing. So I know that this is a player that they are going to invest a lot of time, resources, and prioritize. And I think he rewarded them with his first pro season here. I think he's one of the best chases in the product.
Oh, nice. Okay. I got to ask about your two local guys then. Like, we all had Salas kind of top 10 on our board, and then for resale value. And then who is the other kid? Is it DeFranc?
DeFranc? Yeah.
DeFranc, okay.
So, speaking of investment, the Marlins, they invested more into their Dominican academy than they did in free agency. And I can get that because you want to create assets here, right? Like, they're never going to be able to spend, and bid on players and outbid players, teams in their division. So they invested a lot of money in the Dominican academy, and they're starting to see those results. They had like a handful of guys throwing mid to upper 90s, but Kevin DeFranc was the one that I continue to hear more and more and more about. They are super pumped about him. He's already at 16 years old, exceeding triple digits with his fastball, nasty slider, dominated the DSL. That's a guy that I think they will push more quickly. And we'll see him stateside this year and see how quickly they want to move him. But he might be one of the highest upside pitchers in the entire product. And
really?
The Marlins are clearly have and continue to do a great job developing pitching.
Nice. Okay. Anybody like you've kind of one or two guys like hey, this guy's not really being talked about a whole lot, or the pricing's relatively cheap, do you think has a decent ceiling?
There's a few, I would say. But, Juniker Caceres with the Guardians.
The Guardians? Yeah.
That guy.
You know what's weird? I've had more guys ask about him, by the way. Last night in particular, it was wild how many people in the chat were asking about this kid.
Really?
Yeah, and I hadn't heard the first thing about him, and he was relatively cheap.
Because we're comparing a lot of these players. He's already doing it in low A. And I always talk about how big the leap is. DSL is like, compared to even the complex is a leap, then compared to low A is it's beyond a leap. So the fact that he was doing this in low A already and hitting the ball hard, I think is really encouraging. And then on top of that, you see that there's still the same amount of upside that some of these other guys have. I think he's a really fun prospect to chase in this product. And the fact that, again, he's doing it against better competition is very fascinating. You have Ching Hsien Ko with the Dodgers. Anytime you have a power-hitting Dodgers prospect, and he turned in a good year in full season ball, I think he's definitely worth monitoring and an intriguing chase. And then a couple of the other guys, Marco Dingus with the Brewers.
The catcher?
Yeah, catcher. Hits the living crap out of the ball. I know the Brewers love him. He already got up to Double A by the end of the year. He was overshadowed because he was on the team, with Mate and Pena. But he was putting up numbers with all those guys. Yes, he's older, but very, very impressive, bat speed there. I think one of the best, bat speed guys in the entire organization. And then, of course, I think the best chase, the biggest chase in the product might be Rainiel Rodriguez from the Cardinals because he's a catcher. Stud, huh? Oh my gosh! The more I got to see this kid, he's so impressive. But on top of that, was one of the best performers in the complex. They moved him to low A, got better there, and by the end of the year, they already had him in high A. The ability to pull the ball in the air, he's already hit balls 113 miles an hour. He has a good approach. Even if he doesn't stick a catcher, like that bat is always going to play. And I think the hobby doesn't really care about that. They care about homers, right? So that's what he's going to bring to the table. I'm trying to think. And Diego Torres. The Atlanta
Braves kid. Yeah, he's another guy. So his stock is rising. Again, obviously he hasn't done anything in the last 3 days since the product, but he is one of the few guys. Like the Braves kind of started in the 80 to 100 range. I feel like that's a team we can mark up every break now, and people chase him no matter what.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was going to turn it back on you and say, like, who, what's the trend that you've seen? Because it's always fun when we have those conversations because I through the prospect brain, sometimes it doesn't make sense to me, some of the pricing.
Correct.
Like, whoa. And then you guys tell me, and it puts things in perspective. One other name, though, by the way, because everyone's chasing Josue. If you pull a Bo Davidson because you bought a Giant spot, don't be upset. Bo Davidson's good. And everyone's going to say, oh, but he's older. He didn't play. Like, he was playing in college, took a year off, then went back, then he put up really good numbers in junior college, and was playing in the Coastal Plains League where the Giants identified him. They actually have had some success just sniping players from the Coastal Plains League. And so he's a little bit older, but like his baseball age to me, I'm looking at him as like a 21-year-old because he hasn't had the reps. And he's already in Double A. He's getting better and better every time you check in on him. And yeah, sure, he might debut at 24, 25. Who cares? If he's a really good player, which I think he could be a above average power guy, maybe plus power guy in a corner outfield spot, like it's a good player. And the fact that he's like that secondary chase, I love those team spots where if you're going to pay a pretty penny, it's not at least all or nothing. If you pull a Bo Davidson, you're not, in shambles, let's say.
Yeah, because there's a kid like that for the Cardinals too. Because Reniel Gonzalez is the kid's name, right? Or is it Rodriguez? What's his last name? Rodriguez. The number 2 guy though, Padilla, like he seems to be selling. Padilla is selling.
He was a really, really popular breakout candidate going into this year, and people. This is the problem sometimes in the prospect world too. It's like popular breakout candidate, everyone piles on. He doesn't break out when you thought he would, so then everyone jumps off, and then he ends up having a really nice year the year after that, and everyone misses it. And I think that's exactly what can happen with Padilla. He was 17 years old at the start of the season, and he didn't fully break out. He's a switch hitter that was making the jump from the DSL to the complex. A lot of guys don't make that jump and just break out. Sometimes they have to get used to it. You got to think about the human side of it.
Sure.
They're going from somewhere where they've lived their whole life, and they're going to the United States and just being thrown into this baseball challenge that's the biggest of their entire life, and then the personal challenge that's just you're on your own. You're 17 years old. Like, you think about going to college as a freshman, that was way easier, and you were way older than this guy too. So I thought he had a really nice year still overall when you look at the underlying data, and I think he could be a good target because I think people are probably forgetting about him a little bit, and it's a great point. It's another really solid secondary chase in this product.
Nice. Let me throw 2 more at you real quick under the tale of 2 cities. So Kevin Alvarez for the Astros is selling through the roof. He's got to be top 5 in terms of sales right now.
So he's good, and I see the projection, right? He's tall, lanky. There's a lot to dream on there.
Looks the part.
But he looks the part. And it's in an Astro system where like no one's in his way, right? Like he could be the top prospect in that system before long. He put up really good numbers because he's super patient and just put bat on ball. I think it's just one of those players where it's so far off that but he could pop up next year with 20 more pounds of muscle. All of a sudden he's using his lower half better and he's ripping balls. But the EVs were pretty light for my liking, but he's 17, so I can't take any massive takeaway from that other than, hey, he's advanced for his age, and there's projection there, so I get it.
Okay. Yeah, so kind of like Cris Rodriguez. See, that's my thing, too, with guys that young. Like I said, if like odds are already stacked against you, it's like I'm taking the win day one. I would rather sell. Last name I want to throw at you, he's kind of like the kid in Cleveland, Juniker. The kid for the Reds, I think his last name is Aponte or Apointe.
Yeah, Aponte.
Yeah, he's another guy I feel like nobody spoke about it all, and then all of a sudden the Reds get taken off the board immediately. Dirt cheap, by the way. Like, to put in perspective, the Tigers, Astros with a good chase are $120. The A's are through the roof, out of control, expensive. The Mets are $125 with Elian. Like, the Reds are $35. And it just seems like this kid, I don't know anything about him, but man, he's another guy just like Juniker, super cheap, but for some reason he's garnering a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think, when you think about what's everybody going to be looking at when they're checking these names, they're going to go to Fangraphs and they're going to look at the data that's available there, the numbers that are available there, and there you see a guy that walked as much as he struck out, hit 7 homers, and I think those are all things that you love to see. Shortstop, I think those are all you're checking all of the boxes, right? So he turned in a nice year. I think some of the other names that we talked about are a little bit more intriguing, but when you're talking about a dirt cheap spot and you're comparing at the end of the day players that are all very far off and he's putting up similar numbers and he's hitting some home runs out there, I think guys that are already leaving the yard in the DSL are always going to be a little bit more intriguing because you're 17 years old, you're already hitting the ball in the air and with some authority, it's usually going to bode well for you, and that's what he did.
Nice. Hey, let me totally switch up gears then. MVP race in the MLB right now. I don't remember one this close. That's pretty wild. It's like dead even money in Vegas. You have who's your prediction, first of all?
I think we're dealing with some Aaron Judge fatigue, which is why I think we could see Cal win it. I don't have a strong I can talk myself in different directions, but at the end of the day, and when you look at what Judge is doing offensively, he's hitting 330 with a 455 OBP.
With 51 home runs, by the way. I know we talk about the 60 for Cal, which is unbelievable. It's not like Judge has 35.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And so I would not be upset one way or another. And this is where I'm glad I don't have an award vote yet, because I don't know what I would necessarily do here. Because I also hear the argument of but Judge isn't in the crouch every day. And Cal is catching all the freaking time.
And
the way
like
that
a
he's
top
finishing
3
this year.
defensive catcher. I mean, he had the platinum
He's
glove last year.
phenomenal. He's phenomenal defensively. So, like, if you want to argue like most valuable player, like maybe the guy that's in the crouch for one of the better pitching staffs in baseball, like maybe he is more valuable. That's where like I almost feel like I have to zoom out now and really think about it, because we get so immersed in the numbers. And think about like, okay, how much of it is numbers versus how valuable is this player to his team, or is it really should it be more predicated on the numbers? I don't know. I know batting average is archaic, and I generally don't go to that.
But 80 points.
80
exactly
points, and
80
OBP
points.
is 80 points.
Yep.
The 60 home runs in that stadium, though, as a catcher is remarkable. But when I look at WRC plus, if you're above 200, which means you are 100, like twice as good as the league average, it's really hard to say that guy's not the MVP. And I do think that we are getting a little bit. It's the same thing like with LeBron. Like, I just think you get used to it to the point where you almost underappreciate it. And I think we're excited about a guy that's threatening him, and has a really strong case for it. And I think that's given us a little bit more of a push in that direction. But I mean, it's really hard to pass on a player with a 202 WRC plus. Like, he's 102% better than the league average. And it's not like he's DHing every game either. I know he had the elbow issue for a little bit, but
No, he missed 7 games, by the way. I thought he missed a ton of I thought he missed like 15 games. I think he missed 7 or 8 games.
He did not miss.
Pretty
And
reliable.
they were terrible without him. And then he came back and like 1136 OPS we're talking about here, like versus a 950-ish. I can already, and it turns into a very divisive conversation, as I think most things do nowadays, right? Like, but it's. I can hear both sides. Like, no matter what I say, I feel like I'm going to get yelled at in the comments. But I think if I'm voting, I'd lean towards the guy with the 3, 4, 6 slash line.
Okay. Yeah, here's my only thing, and I have no dog in the fight. I hate the Yankees, but I don't hate Judge. He's fine. My only thing is, and I just think it goes down to the writer's mentality, is like, if not now, are we just saying a catcher never wins, ever? Because he said that, like, by far the greatest statistical offensive season ever. He's the best catcher defensively in his league. I mean, Patrick Bailey's probably a better defensive catcher for the Giants, but that's it. Like, and the pitching staff is excellent. Like, he calls a great game. So it's like Judge has everything offensively except home runs and RBI. Every other category he's got. But the other guy's elite defensively. And I don't know. I do think fatigue is real, though. Like, there's a reason Joker didn't win the MVP this year. Like,
and I think maybe it's a larger conversation of how much does a positional aspect matter in these conversations? How much do you weigh that offensively, and those things too? So it's funny because I think a lot of the old school people are saying, oh, but he's catching. And I'm like, well, you'd be the same people that would be citing average OBP and everything. So it's you kind of run in circles in your own mind trying to do this thing. And I am fascinated, but I do think the writers could skew towards Cal. I really do think that has, especially with them winning the division. I think that makes a big difference too. Yeah,
if I had a vote, I would vote Judge by a slight edge. I mean, depending on what happens the last week. If somebody goes crazy, sure. But I would give the slight edge to Judge. But if I'm betting, I think the writer's going to give it to Cal. I thought this was cool too. Ohtani's going to become the second player ever with more than 3 MVPs,
which is nuts.
That dude is insane. I know it's overplayed.
Shoved last time out too. He just absolutely shoved.
Yeah,
like he didn't
savage.
throw all year, but like and that was the thing I was looking at. I'm like, well, okay, Schwarber's doing this and that and that. Then I looked. I'm like, Ohtani's thrown enough now where like you got to factor that in too. Like, you got like 3 WAR on the pitching side already too. It's a wrap. It's incredible. We've never really seen it. That's a guy like you could just stockpile those cards because he could stop playing tomorrow, and I still already think he's an icon in the game for forever.
I mean, I don't even think there's a close second. He is not only the most famous baseball player, like recognizable outside of the sport, like for everybody. I mean, Judge is probably number 2. It's not close.
It's not.
Like, I don't think there's non-baseball fans who know who Aaron Judge is. Just like I didn't think that about Trout. Like, nobody knew who Trout was unless you followed the sport. But my wife knows who Ohtani is. Like, everybody. And the international appeal in the market's insane. So, and then Skenes, again, too, ran away with the Cy Young, that's a bad dude, man. I'd love to see him get out of Pittsburgh because that's a useless place.
Yes. But what I love about him is I feel like he almost single-handedly has brought back the pitcher market. And
100%. Yeah, because we saw him. Then all of a sudden, guys, oh, well, Yamamoto, well, Sasaki. Absolutely. Chase Burns, yeah.
and you're gonna get burned at a little bit of a higher clip, but like if
Sure.
you're shelling out money for DSL kids.
Yeah,
Why
16-year-olds.
and then pitchers are too risky. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
You've
And
got
then
guys
they give you
shoving
the
in
reference.
show.
And then they tell you, well, remember what happened with Steven Strasburg? I'm like, I don't remember a lot about 2010, to be honest with you.
I
So
will
I don't
rattle
want to
off-
hear Strasburg anymore.
Yeah, like Matt Harvey. Okay, I'll rattle
Yeah.
off 4 or $5 million IFA guys that everybody wanted that didn't make it above high A. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things too. I get it. Like tread lightly, but if you're gonna fully ban it, like there was just points where I'm just like, I want to collect these pitcher cards, like for me, and I did. But if it was ever ones that I was like, oh, like I want to maybe pick up a few because I like this guy and see if I can turn it into some other cards that I could buy for myself. I was shocked when I first got into the modern side of the hobby.
Yeah, I can't move him.
No one cared, and
Nope.
pitchers are the draw. Like when you go to the game, it's for the starting
course.
pitcher. Like
Yes.
if it's a specific event like the Skenes game or whatever, like
Yep.
you get to watch that guy. Like that's appointment television. So I'm glad that that's come back a little bit. And it doesn't ever have to match like the hitters. But
Sure.
I always thought the dichotomy of, I love this high chase rate 17-year-old in the DSL, but I will not go get a pitcher card who's succeeding in the majors. It was
Yeah.
always crazy to me.
It is true, though. It's not just him. He has transcended, like, he has elevated, like you said, elevated the position. Because all those guys I mentioned, and then even this year, Jacob Mizorowski, after his third start, it was like, oh, dude, this is the next, and his pricing was through the roof.
Nolan
He's the
McLean.
next
How's
guy.
Nolan McLean's market doing?
Is that the Mets kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
He's
him,
hitting in the picture too, which is sick.
Oh, I
He
didn't know
was
that.
a two-way
See,
guy when he was drafted.
Oh, okay. So I know he's up, but Jonah Tong, I mean, unbelievably expensive right now. And even Peyton Tolley, whatever the kid's name is
Yeah.
for the Sox, the second he pitched, tripled overnight. He's come down some, but that's another thing. It used to be, okay, they finally get to like a respectable sales level. One bad outing, it just crashes. Like it takes 5 to get. Now it's like because of the Skenes factor. And Chase Burns is like that next guy that people are just waiting on. Like, man, he's going to be the Skenes type, same division. That whole, I don't know, hyped up matchup that may never happen definitely has people going. So, I don't know. It is nice to see pitchers get some love. Hey, real quick, last thing I want to talk to you about. 2026 guys. Anybody like jumping off the page, hey, this guy is going to start up, either start opening day roster or an early promotion where we're going to see them early that'll affect their card market.
Yeah, so it's funny. We did like a way too early rookie of the year predictions for on the Just Baseball show the other week.
Did you have JJ? Was that you?
I do love JJ as a rookie of the year pick for next year, of course. But
Okay.
I think in the American League, Kevin McGonigal, if they
Really?
give him a chance, like I really think he should start the year up there, and I think he's got a good chance too. They're already sending him out in the Arizona Fall League. He's been one of my favorite prospects for a long time. I think I talked about him on the show a bunch in the past, even too.
So you were high on him. You were real low on Max Clark. Still the same?
I was lower on Clark. It's funny. We had him on the show, and I was floored at how like cerebral he is of a hitter and how much he leaned into that this year. And he took his game to another level. I think we still probably skew a little bit lower technically, but yeah,
Sure.
McGonigal was the guy that was higher than everybody on. Then Clark was the guy that was probably lower than everybody on.
Okay.
And now they're both. I mean, I had McGonigal as a number one prospect up until Connor Griffin did this crazy stretch here. But I know we were definitely highest in the industry in McGonigal and maybe the lowest on Clark. And I think Clark has definitely bumped his stock up for me, and I probably was a little bit too harsh on him. But I think looking at next year, they have a clear open spot at shortstop in Detroit. And McGonigal has it's maybe one of the best. He's one of the best pure hitters in the minor leagues. And he's hitting for power now, and defense looks like it'll be good enough there. And that's a good team right away. So it's not like he's hitting third for him. Like he could be in the 7 hole, just easing his way in and just putting up good numbers. So I really like him. I think it's going to get a ton of run in the National League, like a ton of run for that Cardinals team. And they're going to probably want that PPI pick, so he'll be up there pretty early. But I think it's going to be hard to beat Samuel Basallo in the American League as well. And
Man, catcher's making a turnaround here. Is he still catching?
What's interesting with Basallo is depending on Adley's health and his situation, They
Yeah.
probably, in the best case scenario, they probably only want Basayo catching twice a week. So then he's DHing and playing some
Okay.
first, and he can just focus on launching balls. And I mean, he reminds me of Devers offensively. He really does. So I think that's a guy that could just mash his way. He already got paid too. I think he can play a little bit freer. That's a guy that I think could really be a monster. So, but I think it's McGonigal and Basayo in the American League side that could really make that push. And I think you got a lot of pitchers that have a chance to make a push as well, even though it is a hitter award generally. We just talked about Nolan McLean, who the Mets very strategically made sure they could preserve his rookie eligibility. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball, since he got up. Bubba Chandler has really hit his stride with the Pirates, and he looks like he could be a guy that just comes out hot next year as well. I don't want to fully forget about Andrew Painter, who I know it was a rough year for him his first year back off of TJ, but he missed even a longer time than the average TJ returner because he tried to avoid surgery, then still had to get the surgery. So it was like closer to 2.5 years off. And then one of my favorite darker horse picks, Carson Benj with the Mets.
Yeah, I was wondering about him. So you think he's coming up?
I do. I really do. Because there's a wide open spot in center field. He looks like he can play solid defensively there. Another guy that you don't need him, your 4-hitter. He just needs to play decent center field and give you good ABs in the 7-8 hole. They don't even need to face him against lefties. Tyrone Taylor can take those lefty matchups. So, but I do think he could be that guy because he's got 20/20 potential. He's got a great approach. He can go play center field at a pretty good level, and he's long been one of my favorite prospects. He's one of my favorite guys out of the draft, and admittedly, I have a lot of his cards. But nice. I think that's a guy that's a legit candidate to win that Rookie of the Year.
Hey, any thoughts on Aiden Miller? Because this is another one you were low on last year, and you were spot on. I was like, no, I'm hearing this guy's going to make a May 1st promotion, and man, I feel like his stock has tanked since then.
It has, but I really like the changes that he made, and that's the thing with these players, right? Like it's an evolution, especially these high school guys, and he made a couple little tweaks, and he went nuts down the stretch here, and I think in terms of like a good buy low opportunity, I think he's a perfect candidate. I don't know if he's going to get up quick enough to be a Rookie of the Year guy, but I do think ultimately the plan is to move off of Bowman and have Miller either playing maybe shortstop and they slide Turner over, especially as he deals with his hamstring thing, or Miller plays third or second or whatever. But grab one of those infield spots. Final 50 games of the year, he hit a 946 OPS. He just went nuts, and the approach got better. He was starting to pull the ball in the air at a higher clip, and I really like how he's 21 years old. I really like the way that he finished the year, and I think he's going to be a big part of their future.
I have two other names I'm curious about. I think there's a shot that you see him early. Even if they're not eligible, as long as they're up, it's like, hey, then they have rookie cards. So Roman Anthony we know is going to be there all year, which is a great starting point for the class. Oh, God, I'm blanking on both names now. What the heck? I had two I was just going to ask you about. Dang it.
Give me team.
Oh, I can't think of it at all now. Two huge names.
That got up this year?
That did not get up this year. Oh, Connor Griffin. We talked about Connor Griffin. Oh. What is the outlook for him next year?
So it's funny. That was my other pick on the episode. I'm like, I don't know what the heck that the Pirates are going to do, and I don't even think the Pirates know what they're going to do. But generally speaking, that's not a guy that would, based on the timeline, get up next year because he finished the year in Double-A. However, when you look at what he has done in his skill set, it's closer to the Bobby Witt, and I'm not saying he's going to be that, but in terms of his minor league numbers, and I'll tie a bow on the point before anyone says, oh, he's comparing him to them. It's closer to the Mike Trout, Bobby Witt, those types of tracks in the minor leagues, meaning that like when you are that productive and that impactful, you maybe push those guys quicker because there's not really much else for them to prove. He got better at each level. Now, does that mean that his skills are going to translate at the highest level the same way that Bobby Witt and Mike Trout and some of the... I don't know. Maybe not. I think anyone that can confidently say that there's too many variables. That's the 0.001%.
Sure.
What I can tell you is he has the skill set and the ability, if it all works out, to be that. What I also can tell you is that what he is doing in the minor leagues, age to level, and the way that he is getting better at each stop is reminiscent of those guys. And those guys were pushed quickly. And so that is why I think maybe he could be a guy that gets pushed quickly. You also look at that team. They can't hit for anything. They couldn't hit to save their lives.
They need something.
Even if he stinks out of the gate a little bit offensively, he's stole 70 bags. He's an elite defender potentially in center field, or could play shortstop. You pick, and fans will show up to watch him. So I think if he can get up within the first couple months, he's easily a candidate because he's going to get WAR defensively. He's going to steal a ton of bags, and he's going to hit his homers. The makeup's off the charts. That's a kid that you push, and you know that he's going to acclimate. And that's why I think maybe they do it. But you know the way the Pirates are. They're over-conservative. It hurt them with Skenes. They ended up losing the year of control anyways and didn't get the draft pick. And then look at what they did with Bubba this year.
Yeah. They're just a stupid organization.
They are as bad as the Rockies, and I thought the Rockies are the number one butt of the joke.
Pretty terrible.
I think they are right there with the Rockies.
Yeah, to me, he's like a hobby dream because it's like we already have this. I mean, the fact that Skenes is doing what he's doing as a pitcher and in Pittsburgh is unbelievable. To have like that 1-2 punch though, where now you have the everyday player, I just think that'd be awesome as like a little storyline.
He's built to be that face of the franchise. Like he is that Bobby Witt type of persona. His dad was his coach. He's an AD. I forget where. And I've just heard nothing but great things about him. And I don't even know when we started recording, but one of the things that we were talking about, though, is that 2024 draft. You have that superstar at the top, but then you have so much depth and intrigue there too. And then people forget about Bryce Rayner too. Like
another Tigers kid.
Like I think he's got a ton of upside, and he's going to be not on that level of track, but like another guy that's going to be kind of following in that conversation. So yeah, I'm excited about that whole group there, and I think there's going to be a fun rookie class next year. I really do believe that.
Nice. Hey, I put up the mailbag late, so there's hardly anything in here. Couple quick questions for you. Dawn Getters asked, Jesus Made cracking double A as an 18-year-old this season shows he's got a sky-high hobby ceiling, or is it just fool's gold?
No, he's got a sky-high hobby ceiling. There's no doubt about it.
Nice.
I think this is it's Chorio reminiscent of how they're pushing him. And, I think when you have a switch hitter at 17 years old at the start of the season, finish the year at 18 years old, you see a 792 OPS. That's incredible for getting up to double A. Here's my favorite part about him. As a left-handed hitter, 792 OPS. As a right-handed hitter, 791 OPS. He's already – it's really hard to find guys that consistent already from both sides of the plate. And there's going to be more power in the tank there. The exit velocities are much higher than the home run total would imply. He's just a kid that's still trying to find a little bit more loft and consistency in the swing. I think he may end up sliding over to second base, and that's the thing. And this is where I guess the hobby versus like baseball player thing becomes a conversation. I always I hate comps, that, but I see Ketel Marte. Wow. But I think if Ketel Marte came up in today's hobby world, I think he would be regarded differently.
Sure.
And also, Ketel Marte wasn't Ketel Marte until 4 years into his big league career.
Correct, because that's the other difference. Marte has all the hype already, and then if he plays at that level, that's different.
Marte's an MVP candidate.
Excellent player. Yep.
So I see that kind of skill sets, but I wanted to give that caution, I guess, there because every team in the world, if you told the Brewers right now Jesus Mate's Ketel Marte, or you can take the mystery door of what he'll end up being, they will take Ketel Marte and they will run.
Of course, yeah, but sometimes the hobby is no, I'd take the mystery door with that 16-year-old in DSL who hasn't done anything yet. Yeah. Okay. Hey, just two other quick ones for you. Hayes Chandler Hudson asking about Jason Dominguez. Do we see this kid panning out at some point? Is he ever going to be a consistent player?
I'm a believer. I do think he's a good player. I think it's an unfortunate circumstance for a guy like him to develop, where it's a team that's in win now mode. That it's World Series or bust every year. Welcome to the Yankees. But the thing that's really hurting him is his defense. And if he was a better defender, he'd be in the lineup more regularly. It makes no sense that he is so bad defensively. I don't know why he can't track the ball. And it's affecting his ability to consistently get reps out there, or get reps in the lineup, get at bats, because he's a defensive liability. So you're not going to have him in the lineup every day. And that's just been the big hurdle. At 22 years old, though, I think it's easy to forget that he's still extremely young, hits the living crap out of the ball, and I think still has a really solid career. But I'll break my rules here. If he's Anthony Santander, the Yankees are happy. The hobby is not. And so that's why I think when you're asking me that question, what prism is it through?
Yeah, two answers. As a player, you're thrilled, probably happy with him. As a hobby guy, probably nothing worse to hear.
In terms of what the hobby hype once was, I don't think that guy is there.
Yeah.
I never thought that guy was there, though. I always thought it was
I was gonna say it's another dude you were low on. I remember asking you about him last year when he came up, and you're like, never. I think almost to the T, your thing was defensive question marks and not consistent. And I was like, oh man, this is the number one guy, the Martian from 2020. Like this is gonna be the guy. You're pretty good at this stuff, dude. I will
Thank
say,
you.
like, it is crazy. You already knew this, but it is crazy. Jackson Merrill, that's another dude.
That's probably my best
one.
one, just because it was the Rookie of the Year call. So I lost that though, by the way, because of Skenes. He was the runner-up.
But even before that, a year before, when I was like, dude, this guy Jackson Merrill, he was a first, came up as the number one guy in the class, stinks. Everybody hates him now. You're like, no, this don't. Like, it was shocking to you how cheap he was because you're like, I'm seeing all these stats, and I was like, all right. I remember me and Jesse specifically talked about that. Like, all right. Dude knows what he's talking about. Like, there's a reason we have him back.
Yeah, that was thank you. I hopefully that earned me these other spots on here.
Oh, this got you the cred. All right, very last question. I only want to ask this because I have no idea what Juwan Fisher is talking about. He says he asked about $10 to $20 guys, which we talked about from Bowman Chrome. But then he says, bonus question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how disappointed are you about Edwin Florentino's omission from the checklist? I don't know that name at all.
Edward Florentino. It's so funny. I was talking about this with a buddy of mine who's very into Bowman. I was hoping so much that he would be in there. And Florentino is another Pirates prospect. I don't know what they've got going on there. All of a sudden, as much as I like to make fun of them, and this is probably what makes them a little bit better than the Rockies, but in terms of how they operate at the big league level, I think it's very close. Florentino, I think, was one of the most impressive prospects I saw this year at low A. 18 years old. 932 OPS, sweet swing from the left side, so much more meat on the bone, I think, power-wise, and just already so advanced for his age. A perfect candidate to have in the checklist. I don't know why he wasn't in there. I was fully expecting, like, Rainier Rodriguez and Florentino. Like, those were the two guys. And Rodriguez is, like, the top chase, and Florentino would have been one of the top chases, too. I could not believe that they left him out of there. 1 to 10, I was like a 9 in disappointment because it's a layup. It's Bowman Chrome. Like this is one of the Bowman Chrome guys. I was really disappointed, and there's the same thing. Like when I was super high on Ellie De La Cruz, and I'm like, put him in a product. Put him in a product. By the time they put him in a product, I couldn't afford the cards. So
everybody knew about him.
It's gonna be the same thing here with Florentino. He's a top 30 prospect for us already. It's just baseball. So
dang.
It's good. And then Zaire Hope, same thing. Like please. He had those 5 red autos or whatever in the one product, and then by the time it was too late again. So, this is going to be another one of those instances. So I am very sad about it.
Dude, Zaire Hope still, to this day, one of the most impressive young men with media training I've ever met. I mean, he's a quiet kid. Dude, he stuck around longer than, he was freaking awesome. Ever since then, I've been a big Zaire Hope fan. Hey, I omitted one name. Mikel Correa, whatever the Rays kid is. I don't know how you pronounce his name, the kid from Bowman Chrome. People have him touted as a top 10 guy too, selling wise. Do you know anything about this kid?
I gotta ask you after this too. I want to see some of those numbers too, because I want to compare that to, because he's fine. I don't know why. 765 OPS. He swung and missed a little bit. You got to remember in the DSL, man. Like you're seeing 60% fastballs. So
you're just teeing. It's batting practice.
I want to see like minuscule strikeout rates. 22% is not high in the bigs. It's not high in Double A. That's high in the DSL for me. Like for a top chase, I don't know if I see it with him. He's a good athlete, so I think that's what people are really intrigued by the speed. It's like, if he can grow into any power, like it's a really fun speed power combo. But top 10 chase in this, I don't know. But he is tooled up, so I think that's the part that's really intriguing. Is like he can hit the ball really hard when he does, get everything going, and he can run. But it's just one of those guys where it's
kind of a stretch.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
Nice. Okay. That was the last name I had. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Good deal.
Always fun stuff. And then, I'm excited to, as 2025 draft gets closer and they solidify that checklist to talk about that with you guys.
100%. I'll be a little earlier.
Draft is a blast, man. 2020 draft was the first one that really got me into it. And then.
Is that Mayer and Torque? 2020?
That was 21. I think.
Okay.
2020 is kind of bad now, honestly. Like Jordan Walker and Evan Carter and
that's right.
That was Torque though. That was Torque in that one. Mayer is the next year.
Mayer and Merrill were 21, but Merrill didn't have the autos or the right picture.
That was the first. I was ripping like crazy, just having so much fun, and it did not age well. Crochet ended up being like one of the better pulls from that and stuff like that. But Draft is just a great product. I think there's just so much more talent in that, all around. But of course, Chrome is the one that can higher risk, higher ceiling potentially too.
It has been so bad the last 5 years too. It's the first year we've had a Bowman Chrome product that hasn't tanked opening week.
Well, and that, to me, to be honest, is on Topps and Fanatics. And I think they should. Yep. I think they should outsource a little bit more. And find out who they should have in that checklist.
Well, like you just said, this Florentino guy, the fact that he's that high of a prospect and he's not in the product.
It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and now you're not going to have him till at least Bowman because you can't have him in draft. It doesn't make any sense. He's an international signee, right? He's not a draft kid.
Nope. So you got to wait.
So you wait till Bowman, and then you hope you get his Chrome and his first auto at the same time, so you don't have a debacle like that. Yeah, it is weird. The Chrome has been the one. It's like the stepchild of the three every year lately.
It's the most easy and fun rip because it's Chrome. Like you don't have any paper. It's great.
And the timing's perfect. It's like it's always September-ish, leading up to the playoffs. Like perfect time for that. But yeah, it's weak every year. Kurtz has made it fun this year though. First time we've had a legit rookie chase in Bowman Chrome. It's been like the guy, and that dude is. I just watched him for the first time, like really specific when they beat the crap. Well, the Sox came back and won a few last weekend, but that dude looks like Frank Thomas. He's not that big, but he is massive. I had no clue he was that big.
He's a good athlete, man. We were talking about it on the show. Like he might be already a top 3 first baseman in the game going into next year. That is crazy to do.
He's a big dude. Yeah, he's savage.
There's a reason why I love draft as a product now too. Guys are flying through the minors out of college and stuff faster than ever. Yeah. Faster than ever. And look how many guys from 2024 Bowman Draft we already have in the show.
I feel like, too, we had a ton in 23 and 24 that were college kids. It felt like the average age of the first round was like 21. Yeah. Some draft is a lot. It felt like this last 2 years
and then the high school guys,
older.
Like, the top high school guy, Connor Griffin's already in AA, and if it weren't for the injury to Rayner, he at the very least is at high A already. He probably finishes the year in AA.
Wasn't there an Oakland kid that was the who was the big Oakland kid this year? Oh, that was Kurt. I'm stupid.
Well, you have Jacob Wilson too before that, and like he was great. He moved quick.
I was trying to think. I thought they drafted a young kid, but I think I'm confusing my guys now. I start getting the real world and draft years confused. So, anyways, hey, Aram Leighton, appreciate the time. And hey, where can people find you, get your stuff, your content?
Yeah, so we're updating all the team top prospect lists at justbaseball.com, so stay tuned for that. The top 100 will be updated in a few weeks as well. So that's something that we're always excited about. It's always a big rollout, so keep an eye out for that in the next few weeks. I'll be out in the Arizona Fall League breaking that down on our prospect podcast, The Call Up, and then, of course, the Just Baseball show, our flagship show. That's 4 times a week. So you can find us there, but justbaseball.com is the website, and Just Baseball Media on all the socials. But thank you, as always, for having me on, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. It was fun. Appreciate it. We'll have you for sure back before drafts. We can kind of start prepping for that.
Let's do it.
Good deal. All right, buddy. We'll catch you next time. All right, so there you go. Official top 5 guest of all time, Aram Leighton. Maybe even top 3. Aram's great. Kind of nice to talk, just some in-depth nerd-out talk about baseball. So we'll definitely have him back when draft comes around. That is it for the show. We'll be back Monday. Here's the other thing, too. I was solo today. I think Jesse's going to have to do Monday solo. I'm traveling to Richmond, Virginia to go with DC Sports 87. So we'll be live Monday night on eBay Live with literally a whole warehouse of stuff. We're going to try to sell an ungodly amount of singles. So massive, massive night of singles under the DC Sports 87 eBay name. So make sure you check them out Monday night. I'll be live under Sports Cards Nonsense on eBay Live on Sunday night for the normal single show. Podcast next Monday with Jesse solo, I believe, because I'm leaving early in the morning. So I think that's going to have to be the case. But anyways, we'll be back next week one way or the other. Catch you guys later. Goodbye.